Welcome back, guys. Today I thought I'd make a little bit of a anything goes type video, nothing in particular, but I wanted to go over some information and some Linux information that I picked up over the weekend. Now, I'm not sure how many of you read Linux Format magazine. It's a great magazine. It is published in Great Britain, and so it leans a little bit towards relevant material to Great Britain, but it is for a Linux enthusiast. It is a very, very nice magazine. Now, I'm going to go over a couple of things that were interesting in this month's edition. If you look at this screenshot I took, you can see that Linux Lite 2.6 and Peppermint 6 were listed in distrowatch, and they made some very nice comments about both of them. And as you know, that Linux Lite and Peppermint 6, those are two of my favorites. It's good to see them getting a little bit of publicity because they certainly deserve it. Both of those organizations work extremely hard to provide a good product to us free of charge. And speaking of free of charge, it never hurts to contribute a couple of dollars to the cause if you sign on to Linux Lite and Peppermint 6. Being small organizations, they certainly have a need to keep all that equipment up and running properly to make the distributions available to us. So it's always good to contribute, even though it is free and open source. It's like everything else; they need a little bit of money to keep things going. So just thought I'd put a plug in for them. Next up, they did a best distro of 2015, and so it's a little bit different than what we normally hear. For example, Magia 5.0 came in first place. It's not what I would have expected. I think I would have expected Linux Mint or Ubuntu, the new Ubuntu, to come in first. But the top five was Magia 5.0 in first place, OpenSUSE 13.2 in second place, Mint 17.2 in third, Fedora 22 in fourth, and Ubuntu 15.04 in fifth. Now, coincidentally, just this past week, I tried to install Fedora and Magia, and I had some difficulties with the installation process. So I didn't finish up the videos that I had started. I'm going to try to go back and do Magia again. But I was surprised that no Manjaro or no Arch distributions were listed on the in the top five. But that could be a something relative to the location and where the magazine is produced. So for beginner-friendly distros, they listed Elementary OS Freya, which is a nice distro for a beginner. Corora 22, which I'm not very familiar with. I did try to do an install a while back, but I didn't stay with it. And Pingai OS, and that I'm not familiar with. It's a customized GNOME desktop, and so it came in the three for the three beginner-friendly distros, and I think that Elementary OS came out at number one in that comparison. I would have put Linux Lite, Peppermint 6, Linux Deepin, Zorin. I would have put them into the beginner-friendly category. It's interesting how different perspectives, even different geographic locations can influence the opinions of distributions. For rolling releases, Antergos, Manjaro, and Sabayon. Now in this comparison, the number one as far as Linux format is concerned is Manjaro. And I would have to agree with that. The more I use Manjaro, the more I like it. So let's move on. Lightweight distros. Now, Porteous 3.1, Slacko Puppy, and Tiny Core Linux. Now, interestingly, I did an install of Porteous. Actually, I didn't do an install. I did a live USB install, and I ran it from a USB. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Porteous, but it's not your typical distribution as far as downloading an ISO. When you, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's see. When you go to the website, it's known as Portable Linux. Now, if you want to download the distribution, you can go through the download process, and let's see, and what you do is basically you construct the download. So first thing you do is select 32 or 64-bit. Then you take your system type. The default is a legacy install, and then the other is the EFI. You can have a GUI or text boot mode, and you can pick your desktop: KDE, LXQT, Mate, XFCE. Now then you select your time zone, and everything is pretty much included. So let's see, I would select America, New York, and UTC support. You've got your keyboard layout and sound volume. Then you can get into advanced options, a guest user versus root. You can enable or disable various file functions and RAM swap, different types of swap usage. ZRAM is a different type of swap. And so you configure all of that and read through it so you understand exactly what you're selecting. Then you can select your web browser, Firefox, Chrome, Opera, word processor, LibreOffice or AbiWord. You've got Skype, and whether or not you want development tools. For video, you can select NVIDIA, AMD, or open source. And you can decide whether you want printing support. When you're done configuring that, you click on Build, and it will generate an ISO image. Now, if you're going to try that, make sure you read the instructions on what to do with the how to burn that ISO, because it's not your typical UNet boot in or anything like that. You have to do it a little bit differently, because you will be actually running the distribution off of the USB. So there are instructions on their website that are pretty easy to follow. They even have a couple of YouTube videos on how to burn that USB with the Porteous system. But it is different, as you can see, and so I figured I'd mention that and give you the opportunity to decide whether or not you want to give it a try. Okay? Okay, so in this comparison, it looks like Porteous won that contest of the best lightweight distro. Kdenlive has a new version out, which I have not used Kdenlive yet to edit my videos. I've been using OpenShot, but I would like to use Kdenlive. So I did download the newest version through Manjaro, and I will be taking a look at it. Klaus Mail, it's to me, if my mail app of choice is Geary, but Klaus has a very simple interface, and it comes preloaded with, and I downloaded it. It comes preloaded with a lot of plugins. So if you want to configure Klaus Mail the way you want it, because it is very lightweight, so you can set it up with various plugins. And so in this case, if I were setting it up, I would do BS filter, ClamD, fancy, and Spam Assassin. Those would probably, and the PDF viewer. Those would be the plugins that I would use to configure it to get the functionality that I would need. But you might want to take a look at it. It's Klaus Mail, and they do have a new version out. Now, interestingly, this D-File Manager has a cover flow feature, kind of like what Apple introduced a few years ago in iTunes, that cover flow. Now, I wanted to show it to you, but in order to download it from Yowert using Manjaro, it needs to get some information, some files from SourceForge. SourceForge is down at the moment. It's the site is down for maintenance. So every time it tries to install, it goes to pull that file and it fails. So I wasn't able to download it, but it looks very interesting. D-File Manager, and I know it's available through Yowert. I'm going to take a look at it tomorrow once SourceForge comes back up. Now this advanced photo, this one here is available. I haven't found it for Manjaro, but for Arch, but I did find it for Debian and for Ubuntu. And so if you take a look at advanced photo, do a search on that, you'll find that, and it looks like a very lightweight photo viewer. Basic set of options. So I want to take a look at it to see what it has for basic editing options. So I'll be taking a look at that as soon as I can find a way to get it into Arch. Dillo has a new version out, and Dillo is a very lightweight web browser. I took a look at it. For me, it's a little too lightweight, not enough features, but if you're looking for a very lightweight browser, you might want to give Dillo a try. And let's see, and also this ClamAV GUI, it looked interesting. It's a GUI front end for Clam antivirus, and it looked pretty interesting. I have ClamTK right now, but that's a little bit limited. It's very simplified. This looked pretty interesting, but I haven't been able to locate it. And I was reading the article. It says it's still under development, so that could be the case. That could be why I can't locate it right now. And I think that is it. Now, I'm going to do a couple of reviews, distribution reviews over the next few days. So I'll probably have another video out tomorrow. I did download the new Linux GT that Midfinger put out, and I've tried to install it twice, and it's a new ISO. So basically, It's a little more simplified than the original installation, which I went through with you a couple weeks ago. So it's a new one, and it's available through SourceForge. I downloaded it early today, and I tried to install it, and it installed fine. But when I went to do the updates, it has a problem with one of the authorization keys, and so it would not update. And if it can't update, it's not going to basically be able to install much of anything. So Midfinger, if you're taking a look at this, might want to take a look at that. I'm not sure if you've heard any other issues, but I still have Linux GT installed on my other computer, um, using the original installer, which was basically I used Architect and then downloaded the Linux GT files. So that's about it for this video, guys. I was away for a few days, that's why you didn't see any videos coming out, but I am back, and I am planning on doing a few videos over the next few days. This one here seemed interesting because it touched on a lot of different topics and more of Linux in the news. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.